It's time for Rabbi Minkowicz's weekly Torah lesson. Here with his spiritual perspective and insight, Rabbi Minkowicz.
Welcome to this week's Torah lesson. This week's Torah portion is Parsha Mishpatim. The question of the week is, does God want us to be independent thinkers? So in this week's Torah portion, Parsha Mishpatim, it begins, Ve'ele ha-mishpatim. And these are the rules, the laws. Now, Ve'ele means, and these are. Ve is an extra letter. It should say, Eile ha-mishpatim, these are the laws. And goes on to speak about different laws in this week's Torah portion. What's the idea of the Vav? Now, the Vav is connecting to something before. What is it connecting to something before? So it's connecting to the previous Torah portion where we received the Torah from God. Now, when we receive the Torah from God, there's no question that the Torah is from God. God came down the mountain, the Jewish people were there, they all saw it. So we're saying that even these laws are connected to God. So why does the Torah have to tell us specifically about this law? So we know in the laws of the Torah, there's three categories. There is chukim, which are statutes, meaning to say there's no reason for it, no logic, it's illogical actually. The laws of kashrut, laws of purity and impurity, illogical. Then there's something which is edus. Edus already, they're not necessarily logical, but it makes sense. After you understand it, oh, good idea. We should keep Shabbat. There's logic to it. We keep Passover, even though we wouldn't plan it, but it makes sense. There's logic to it. But then there's simple mishpatim, simple logical laws that every society would put in place anyway. So now, since logic would put it in place anyway, so what do you need God for? So therefore God says like this, when it comes to chukim, you know for sure it's from God, because it's illogical. When you come to edus, okay, it was God's idea, even though it makes sense, and you know it's God. But what happens when it comes to mishpatim, simple laws? One might think, guess what? It makes sense, independent thinking, but God's saying, even there, ve'ele, I want you to remember that these also come from God. So in other words, God wants us to understand it with our brain, but He wants us to remember and to be cognizant that everything comes from God. So the answer to the question, does God want us to be independent thinkers? Sure He does. He wants us to be independent thinkers, but at the same time, He also wants us to remember where we got our thoughts from, which is from God. Thanks so much for joining us for our weekly Torah lesson. This week's Torah lesson is dedicated to the memory of Baruch ben Ari Leib and Shlomo ben Yosef. May their souls be elevated by the Torah that we're studying in their memory. For more information about Chabad, please see our website.